Hello there. Welcome to another edition of Rockets Rambler Garage. We left you in the last episode. We had gotten a lot of the floor covered in the sound deadener. And we're probably, I guess, somewhere around 3/4 covered there with only the rear footwells yet to go. We still have all of the heat insulation that's going to go down. It's a self-adhesive product that will stick down to the sound deadener. That is just getting started. Really quick though, we got 7 weekends left. I was counting it up the other day. We got 7 weekends left to work on this, plus some time after work and whatnot before we actually leave. So getting kind of tight, and we're gonna lose probably one of these weekends to graduations and birthdays and all that kind of stuff. So we got a lot of stuff going on up here. I won't check this off because we're not quite done. We're ready to insulate. We've been talking carpet. We're probably gonna have to make a carpet. We're gonna run out of time for C-pillar panels. Kick panels are nicely done, so they're a matter of putting them in once the carpet's in. Detail on the outside, we'll do that if we got time. We are getting to the point where we're going to have to do wheels and tires. Hopefully we don't need much repair, if anything, on the wheels themselves. But until I get the tires dismounted and see what the beads look like, I don't know. Got some stuff here. Been looking at carpets. Last episode we got a lot of the brakes done. I've got a hose on order because one of ours was too short, and we'll still have to put a master cylinder in and bleed, but really we only need 2 or 3 hours to have brakes done. So we're well on our way to being at least pretty close on this one. Idler arm, got an email today. I got back ordered again on my idler arm bushing, and this time they're saying October 31st. So I kept the back order. I'll put it on the shelf, but I'm going to have to order one from an outfit out of California called Rare Parts Inc. They've been pretty good about stuff like the front suspension parts. It's what they specialize in. So hopefully they have one in stock. Their website says they do. So cross your fingers. Otherwise, I'm going to be making my own idler arm bushing. I'll have to buy some urethane and turn it. So anyway, I don't have a lot I can completely cross off, but we're getting close. I have a feeling we're going to steal a gas tank out of our other car. It'll be the fastest, but with weekends and some evenings, we might make that yet. So we're going to leave that towards last. Oh, and we got to do an exhaust, a complete new exhaust. So one of the episodes we're going to have coming up here pretty soon is yours truly is going to go try his hand on bending exhaust pipe again. Got a machine here 9 months ago. I've done an exhaust tailpipe in my truck, one of my two, and I did the truck for Benjamin's friend. So got a little bit of time. This one's gonna really push things. It's gonna take an entire weekend for me to do exhaust because I don't quite have that eye that the exhaust guys do, where they go, yep, looks like 25-degree bend will work, and they go bend it, and they kind of hold it up there and go, yep, and they make a mark, and they go make another bend, and pretty much they crank them out, and they're damn near perfect, and you just like. So anyway, I'm not quite that good, but we're gonna endeavor to do a complete new dual exhaust system. So another project I got to do. I got to get busy and order some mufflers, and we still have a little bit of the AC system that we're gonna do. I doubt it's gonna work after all. I know I said I got a little pressure out of it, but when I was putting the dryer back into the fender well location it belongs, I noticed one of the hoses twisted on the fitting. So something tells me there's a tiny bit of pressure, but not enough refrigerant to work. We may have an episode where we go and endeavor to fix it. There's a cheat we learned watching some other guys that do power tour. The little cans of compressed air, if you will, that you buy at the places like Staples and your other stationary stores. That's actually a refrigerant that's actually strangely still legal to discharge in the air, unlike R12 and R134 that you're not supposed to discharge it. So we may be trying that and seeing how that does. Big battle's going to be how long it'll last before it leaks out. Good part is we can hit a stationary store along the way, buy some more. It's $12 a can, but might be worth it to stay cool, even if it only lasts. It takes a can a day. I guess it's not too bad. So anyway, next thing we're going to talk about, I guess really briefly, is the sound deadener. Unlike the sound deadener that comes in pre-cut sizes of mat, this stuff is like an entire roll in one piece. It's 4 millimeters thick, so about just under 3/16 of an inch. It cuts like anything with a razor blade. It, however, has very little elasticity to it, even when the backing paper is off of it. So molding it to the floors is challenging. It's an adhesive back, and it sticks down, and it's pretty aggressive on adhesive. But I know the last car I did, some of the more curvaceous contours, I wound up splitting it with a knife because over time it would pop loose and pucker and get loose. And I was spraying some heavier duty glue in behind it. So I'm going to have to try to bunch it up a little bit more this time so that it's not, because you can't stretch it this way or it pulls loose. So you got to kind of bunch it up. So I'm going to have to experiment a little bit. It's going to take a little more time to do this than it took to do that. So anyway, you're going to kind of get to learn and watch as I go. And just keep in mind, I don't do this for a living, so I am not a pro at putting this stuff in. If you watch Jay Leno's Garage, he's big on putting a very similar product to this from a company called Dynamat, and he has guys come in that do this stuff for a living, and they can probably do an entire car in a day by themselves, and it looks absolutely fantastic. Ours looks good, but we did 2/3 or 3/4 of a car in a day, and that was like a 10-hour day. So anyway, without any further ado, I'm gonna move you guys to where you can see what's going on and get started on putting some sound deadener in. So, got some tools rounded up, and I actually cut a piece that I can kind of sort of mold in here, and cut it to do this way. See, the catch with some of this stuff is you gotta pull and pucker that as you go. And same kind of goes for there. So I kind of need to get myself a couple of starting point marks in here, or at least that's what I'm going to try, so I know where I want to start. This stuff has a pretty aggressive adhesive on it. Once you stick it in place, you ain't moving it much. The bigger thing I got to deal with, I got this indent in here, and I have to work it in and down and into these two lower corners before it sticks out here much. So the good thing is this is behind the seat where you'll never see it. So we're gonna try puckering it up more than we did in the last car we did. So the thing I want to do is try to get it even up there. Hold that there, pucker that in. See, that's stuck a little bit, and it's already peeling the backing off everything in the process. This stuff's pretty aggressive on its glue, so if you don't get it placed right where you want it, you ain't moving it. So I don't think I got that moved enough to do any good. I did bring a razor blade because I gotta cut out a spot here for my backrest. I gotta cut to right about there. All right, so back for evening number 2 of insulating the floor. And I thought the first thing I'd do is I'd show you kind of what this insulation does. It's the one thing I don't like about it, but I'll show you anyway, just so you kind of get an idea. So we talked a bit about the fact that it likes to, sorry about that. We talked a bit about the fact that it likes to kind of let loose. And see, it's actually stayed here, but for some particular reason, this over here has completely pulled itself loose. And I don't know why it tends to do that sort of stuff, but it does. And of course, this got a bit of, there's another dimple in here, and you can see that it completely pulled loose from the dimple. It probably did over here on the extremities here too. Yep. No matter how hard you do that, sometimes you got to poke holes in them to bleed the air out of them. The stuff just has its adhesive pull loose and let it pop loose from the surface. It doesn't stay stuck down. In general, though, when the contours aren't too great, it actually does a pretty decent job. So, without any further ado, I'm going to try to get the corner down here and the opposing corner, and then I'm going to start working these wheel well humps. So for now, I'm going to do this piece. I think I'll do this. So I'm going to set you guys up so you can watch over here. When we get done with that, I'll probably give you a break and go on and do the other side with the camera off, so you don't have to watch the same thing twice. Once in the basic opposite but similar side, and then we'll move up towards the front. And the front, fortunately, should be easier because there's a lot less contours up in a lot of the front areas, so we'll get to cover a bigger area with less time invested. So anyway, I'm gonna move you over so you can see the side over here. Alright, so I need a piece that is in the 10-inch range, and this is already up to the edge here, so I'm pretty much going to bring it there. Call it 10 by 11. So let me go cut a piece for here, and I'll be right back. So, means I had oversight and didn't actually go order up enough sound deadener. We're going to switch over and do some mechanical stuff, because before long this engine's going to have to fire back up again and be timed and adjusted and set up properly. So I'm going to chip away at the cooling system. Captain Mayhem's in the back scrubbing seats, trying to make them a little less sticky. I swear they were almost sticky enough that if you weren't careful, you sat on them for a couple minutes, I think you wouldn't have got back up again. They were pretty gross. So first thing I'm going to start with is the heater hose that runs from the valve to the heater core, and I want it to loop a little bit more out past the master cylinder. So I've got the old hose, but I've kind of determined, looking at it, I'm going to add about 2 inches of length to it, at least to start. If I decide to nip it off later, well, then we'll nip it off again later. But I'm going to cut myself a piece a couple inches longer than this one. I'm going to do some adjustments. These clamps are actually in pretty good shape, but since I've had some troubles with some of them breaking, I will not reuse these. I want a 20-inch piece of hose. That's 18. These you pretty much got to put the clamps on. There it is. I left it down there. Oh, I gotta push it on almost all the way. Yeah, that gets me a decent loop out around the master cylinder. Leaves me room to get in there. Working to set that. You want your clamp just inboard of that bump. There's probably an authentic factory way or place to put the clamp. Kind of kinked a bit. Yeah, it'll straighten out under pressure. This hose appears like it was a little bit short, so I'm gonna put one end on. And then fit it to the rest. That I have much to comment on. First of all, you said we. Yep. Secondly, need. Yeah. All right. Got a little arc in it. Help keep it off the relay. Spin those down and try to get them where they don't have a bunch of horns sticking up to chew you up. And if I decide I want to shorten that, I can still pull it back off and shorten it, but I don't really like them laying on top of things. And it also lets the engine move around without causing mayhem. We leave the mayhem around here to Captain Mayhem. do, I relax those clamps just a little bit so that it slides on the hose snug, and then it won't slide over the bump, so you know exactly where the bump is. Kind of keep that a little bit up off the, watching the hanger back there too. Yeah, it's about right. Clamp. Okay. Now, one thing I want to do there is make sure we clear the air conditioning compressor bracket that sits there. So I'm going to grab the bracket, go check that out. Since this car was not set up very well to begin with, we moved that a little bit. It touches it just a tiny bit, but it's not in a position where it'll chafe, so we're good. Okay, that's decent right there. Whew, okay. And unfortunately now it is time for an AC compressor bracket and an AC compressor. And yours truly lost the studs he bought for this project. So I'm going to make one more endeavor to go find my studs and see if I can locate those so I can actually mount the compressor to the bracket, because we also kind of determined you got to mount the compressor to the bracket first, because you're not probably going to do it afterwards. There's just not enough room to reach underneath here and get to the nuts, at least not this one here in the back corner. Okay. All right, so with that, we've completed the sound deadener on the floor, and we have finished up all of the insulation that we wanted to put down. Surprisingly enough, the combination of this that we did in another car made a huge improvement in both sound, noise levels. You can actually carry on a pretty nice conversation at almost whisper levels, which is kind of rare and unique in these cars. They're nice cars, but they're not known for being exceedingly quiet. So, and of course, it'll also help with the heat we're going to encounter this summer as well, to have this insulation. So the next part for in here will be, we're going to put all new jute matting down on the floor, and we'll be stitching up a new carpet for in here. The next episode itself, we're going to get this car back up on the lift. We have a little bit of front suspension, steering linkage we need to assemble, but we need to get really busting on building a new exhaust system for this. The mufflers have come in. We've got most of our pipe. We're still missing one piece, which was really kind of insurance for me misbending something and electing to start over again. So anyway, with that, the next episode will be largely exhaust. It's going to be kind of challenging. I don't have a huge amount of experience bending up exhaust. So anyway, that wraps up this episode. Be sure to check out the exhaust coming up next. And as always, if you like the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps us out. We do read comments, so feel free to read comments as well. Tell us what you'd like more in-depth of or less in-depth of. The film editor is always jawing on me that I'm too detail-oriented and we're not going to show all that. So anyway, give him some feedback, aka Captain Mayhem, some feedback on what's too detailed and what's not detailed enough. And anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.